All right, what is up, guys? VV back with another video, and this is going to be part 2 of my building on a budget little video. And the main reason I had to split it into 2 was the lights kept flickering at my house, so I'm trying to just kind of blast through these as fast as possible. I wanted to make this just into a single, into a single piece. But just like I said, the power just kept going absolutely crazy at my place, and it happens. It's there's like really crazy winds outside at the time of me recording this. So anyway, we're just gonna hop into these games. These are games that I pre-recorded on the sim, and yeah, that's about it. Let me move my camera up while this is going on. It's all right. We'll just put it right there. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now we're set. Okay, so it looks like I'll do a little bit of commentating on this, guys. I'm mainly just going to be talking about the leaders and stuff and talking about building on a budget and whatnot. I completely whiffed the Shura list, or the Shura search here. Let me sit up a little bit so I'm better in the camera. There we go. And I probably actually won't need my glasses much for this because I can see the pictures. But anyway, how do I say this? This is just going to be to show how I run the list. Let me make sure it's on 2x speed too. That's going to be really important because some of these games are a little bit long, and this guy has a long turn here. Yep, let me go back. There we go. All right, so he plays out the Zoro here, swings 5. I go ahead and block out of this or counter out of this so that I can put a little bit of pressure on him in reverse. Because I have 5 life to his 4 life, and I'm running because I'm running so many vanillas, it's actually a pretty aggressive tempo list. I whiff my Shura search. I whiff my Ohm search. It's just going to be one of those games. It happens, right? It happens. Okay, so smashes in for 5. I do take this one. He gets down a, or I think I took it. I wasn't even paying attention. He gets down the Captain Kidd here. But I've got a pretty decent follow-up to swing 5. Am I going to be able to swing 7 here? Because I have, I think I have 6 Dawn. So I can just play out Randolph for 5, swing 7 first, then play out Randolph for 5. It's good to swing with your characters first, by the way. This will be a little bit of a tutorial. It's good to swing with your characters first in case they get a trigger from their life that KOs your character before you can actually use them if they can attack that turn. So again, I'm just putting on pretty decent pressure here. He's going to go 6k into my board. I kind of want to save it, right? Because, so one thing about... One thing, let me adjust the camera down just a little bit. Okay, that didn't even go down. Oh, yeah, it did. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. One thing about, when you're playing these tempo decks, your board is actually more important than your life. To an extent, right? If you're about to lose the game, you do what you have to do to survive. But generally speaking, you definitely want to protect your board as much as you possibly can. Okay, so he has a pretty decent board at this point of the game. He's got 2 5Ks and a 6K blocker. I only have a 7K. I'm not going to mention the 2-cost, what is he, a 2-cost 3K, because I just can't do anything with him and continue progressing with my turn. But I've got 8 Dawn to play with here. I'll swing 7 out of Zoro. I saw him take it immediately, and that was like, okay, cool. So he didn't even want to 2K out and try to help his he didn't even want to, like, block and then 2K out oh, Thunderbolt on top, by the way. So to try and utilize this blocker. Sorry, guys, I'm all over the place. But then I did follow up with a Gadatsu to KO his character, to his other 3-cost character, and then swung 7 at face. He's going to go 12 at my Randolph. I'm going to let it go. He bottom decks my 2-cost and plays out a 3-cost 5K. That thing has got to go, in my mind, because I have him down to 3 cards. And I am not willing to let him have this card, or like I'm not willing to let him have any more card draw if I can prevent it. And yes, it's going to cost me a life with Thunderbolt to get rid of that, but it is what it is. I know the top card of my life is a Thunderbolt, so I could realistically let him survive here. Okay, so I'm going to swing 6 at life. Like, I don't have to use Thunderbolt. I could just play out Enel and go for face and know that he realistically can't KO me this turn because I'm going to Thunderbolt whatever he has on the board that did not swing first. Okay, and he just gives up. Okay, so there's that game. Whoops. Same game. Okay, so now let's go on to the next one. So that first one was when I was running the very, very cheap version, the very, very cheap budget version of the deck. And I recorded this all in one sitting, guys, so I'm sorry I don't have like the absolute best matchups, because this one's against King, but this was actually a very good game, and you'll see what I'm saying as the game goes on. I recorded these earlier today, I basically, I think I played about 10, somewhere between 10 and 12 games, ended up getting 7 wins across all these different decks I was playing, so I was like, okay, cool, let's just use these. And I didn't go against like the best matchups or anything. It's like the middle of the day here. It was in the middle of the day here in Florida when I recorded these, on the Eastern time zone. Probably just a bunch of random players or people trying to learn the game. Who knows? I have no idea. But the first game we just watched against the red-purple law player, I was running a list that was absolutely... it was the very first deck that I showed under the black-yellow Lin deck list, like the under $20 deck list. Now, this is the one that I think was $24 or $23 or something like that. This was the slightly better, more geared version for Big Mom Pirates. So start off with a double pudding search. That's very solid. And no, this does not have the Tinlin in it, and no, this does not have Perospero in it. It just has pudding for the searcher power and no major top end. Okay, so he swings there. I believe I took it. I'm going to establish a 4 cost here, so I'm going to swing 6 at life, but look at my top card. It's a Perospero. I'm just going to keep it. Swing 7 at life. Let's see what he does. If he, pretty much it doesn't matter what he does. I'm just going to drop my 4 cost Opera. And like I said in that video, guys, the vanilla cards, you'll see exactly what kind of value they have. That's a 4 cost 6K, guys. That card is huge. That card is massive, guys. Absolutely massive. And, unfortunately, I didn't get on. I only got it on turn 3 instead of turn 2, like you could do if you were going second. But you don't always get to go second, right? You don't always get to pick. So he plays out this card here that draws if he has 8 Dawn or more, and then he plays out Jack to ramp some more. I'm not sure what's going on for the most part, but he is establishing a pretty nice board there, and he's swinging at me for 6K. So right here, going to 2K counter out, keep my life as high as I can realistically, and just build a board with him. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, whenever you're playing against purple, there's like 2 things you need to be thinking about. Number 1 is, do they have Trafalgar Law, the 4 cost blocker? Because if they have 4 cost blocker, well, number 1, they'd have already used it against me, obviously, because I have 7 cards in my hand. Or I don't know, maybe I only had 6 cards in hand. Okay, now we know he doesn't have it because he just pitched his whole hand to stop that 7K. And I'm like, okay, then I'll just establish a board here. The second thing you need to be worried about is 10 cost Kaido against purple, or 10 cost Luffy. It depends on the deck. Like if it's running Animal Kingdom Pirates, you need to watch out for the 10 cost Kaido. Anything else, you got to watch out for 10 cost Luffy. And I'm thinking, okay, he only has 1 card in hand. What are the odds he has it here? Very, very, very low, right? So swings 5K at life. I'm like, okay, he's got 3 more attacks, so I'm going to block out of the first 2 that I can, and I'm just going to take the next 2. So there's the first 2 I could block out of, and now he's going to swing. I'm assuming he's going to load up here, because like I said, he just drew that last card. He just drew that card with his character he just played, the 5 cost character. Okay, yeah, and he loads up. Swing 5 at life. I'm like, okay, I'm actually just going to take this. I remember we already know it's a Perospero because of the leader's effect. And then he's going to swing 7. I'm going to take this as well. And we get a Randolph. Another thing about playing yellow right now, playing as, what's his name here, Katakuri, I would recommend going Katakuri over Enel, personally, because it will help you learn how to play the game very well, while also, you also get a little bit of, leniency with triggers. Like, there you go. Speaking of triggers, there's a Shirahoshi I just revealed on the top. Swing 7 into this character. He's out of here. He's just a 4K. And I'm like, okay. Swing 6 into this. I'm thinking, okay, he did not defend it. So we're going to swing 8 at life. And then we're going to play out another character. Because, again, I'm thinking, what are the odds that this guy has the 10 cost Kaido? Did I not put this on 2XP, guys? I'm slipping up here, guys. My bad. So I'm thinking, okay, like, what are the odds he has the 10 cost character? And then he swung for 6, and I was like, oh no. He swung for 5, he has it. I have no doubt he has it now, so I was countering out of whatever he played right there. So, okay, we're in a bad position, right? How are we going to come out of it? How are we going to get out of this with a $20 deck? How are we going to get out of this? Well, we just got to play the right way, right? Just, got to keep your cool. What's the best play I can do? I want to see what's in his life. He gets Onigashima. and I want to, you know, keep him losing life because now I'm on a clock, right? I don't really have many blockers in this deck, and that's another thing I should have mentioned, by the way, on the building on a budget. There's a lot of 2-cost blockers that are really solid. Get the Shirahoshi trigger. Remember, we knew it was there. There's a lot of good 2-cost blockers that you can just add to any deck. Okay, so I take this. He thinks he's safe because he has a blocker. Bad news. I'm actually going to 200 million volts on Maru, and you're out of here, bud. Whenever you're playing on the sim, guys, quick tip, make sure you click your character first that you want to give the buff to, and then your opponent's character to tap down. Okay, so we're going to swing 9, 10, and 10 here, I believe, because that's just how the math works. I guess I could have gone 9, 9, and 11, but I think 9, 10, and 10 was maybe a little bit safer because he has 3 cards in hand. But either way, I'm all in because I can't get rid of his Kaido. And I can't get rid of, you know, his board, and I have no blocker. There's just no way to survive. And okay, and that was that game. All right, so now we're going to move on to the NL games. First up is the really crappy deck list, like the under $20 deck list or whatever it was. That's this first one here. Let me blow it up. Make sure it's on 2x speed this time. Speed 2x. There we go. Okay, going against Bello Betty. Bello Betty is a pretty ferocious little deck. The way that it works, you know, it can get pretty aggressive. But I'm like, all right, no big deal. I really considered Strucening that Bello Betty off the board, but I was like, no, the most it's going to swing for is a 5K if he trashes a card. I'd rather bait that out of him, get a card from hand, KO the Bello Betty, and just go on from there. So I play out an Ohm. I never lucky, I guess. I don't actually get I don't get the holy combo with Ohm. He gets down to Karasu or Karasu, whatever his name is. And I'm like, okay, 2K out of that. I want to stay pretty high on life because it's so early in the game, and now I've got some targets to attack into. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get him to use a 2K here. We'll swing 5 into Inazuma. Nice, get a 2K. Now we'll swing 6 into him, and I think he messed up there. I think he actually 2K countered out of that, thinking it'd be okay, but it wasn't. Bust down Gidatsu, KO his Karasu, or yeah, is that his name? Karasu, something like that. Yeah, I believe it's Karasu. And that was actually a big turning point in the game. He did accidentally use it. I think he used a 2K counter when he should have, but I did not swing in his life the turn before, if I'm not mistaken. So that way that I could, you know, actually pop whatever 4 calls he plays with my Gidatsu. Okay, swing 5. You know, I have one 2K counter, but I'd rather draw a card here and get closer to, you know, there's 2 things going through my mind right now. I need to start dealing with the board while also going down to around 1 life where I can start mitigating his attacks and cycling cards and getting potential triggers. And number 2 is I need to get him down to 2 life. As dangerous as that is, I'm like, oh man, I need to get him down to 2 life. Why? Because Elthor. I need to make sure Elthor is turned on, not this turn, but the following turn if I want to survive this game. Okay, so I go Shura here, play out Ohm. I'm making sure I have enough dog to do what I want to do. Play out Holy and KO the Karasu. I'm not playing that game. I go down to 1 life, even though I don't have enough for my Elthor. He only has 2 attacks on the board, and I can easily do 2 life no matter what because of my leader's effect. So I'm like, okay, I feel pretty safe, and I have a 2K and a 1K in hand. Okay, so he plays out Inazuma. I think Inazuma is his name. Swing for 7 at my Ohm. I'm like, okay, very tempting. Very tempting. We're gonna get out of it so that way I don't lose any life this turn, except like this, you know, where I lose the life on purpose. Use my leader's effect, and I'm gonna go ahead and trash the Opera. I don't need the 1K counter at this point in the game. I need the Rusher. I might not even need the Rusher. Swing 2 into the 2K to see if he'll use a blocker or a counter out of hand. And now it's like, okay, let's see if he takes this. You know, first of all, that's the number 1 thing. So now we're gonna go 7. Okay, and see what he does here. He was playing with a trigger. I was seeing what he was going to play, and I think he ends up not using whatever it was he drew. Or no, he does. He gets out of Morley. I'm like, okay, that's less than ideal. So now I have to leave 1 open for Elthor. So swing 6, gets his last life card. He gets a trigger from it. KOs my Shura, who cares? Swings 7 at life. He can't get out of that. He couldn't get out of that with 1 card because he had no Dawn open. Like there's no event. So I use up one of his characters. Now he's now he's got to get through 3 attacks, but I have 1 Dawn open and a 2K in hand. Right. So okay, swings 8. I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna just counter out of this because that's an easy 9K for me. Okay, now he literally can't win unless he has a Rusher in hand. I take it. It's a Thunderbolt. Let's use the Thunderbolt effect first. Then we'll trash a card, get the leader card back. Game over. You're right. Just right there, the game's over. Yep, he leaves. Okay, very, very cool. All right, next an L game. And again, that was with the absolute cheapest version of the deck, where it's kind of a mishmash, like a mix-up, a mashup of Big Mom Pirates and and what's it called? Oh, let me go 2x speed. Sky Island. Okay. All right, here we go. So this is against Sakazuki. This was a pretty cool game here. Now, one thing you have to consider in these lists, if you don't have the Katakuri, the 8-cost Katakuri, and if you don't have the 9-cost Yamato, you actually kind of are on a clock, and your last life is the most important thing, period. So right here, he plays out the Hina. I'm not really worried about that. And I'm like, okay, I actually need to put the gas on here. It's not always smart to swing with an L first when they're at 4 life like that, because if they take it, your Gadatsu can't hit the next target. But the good news is I got out an Ohm and got out a Holy. I've got good tempo. But the bad news is if he follows up with any kind of what's his name, Kuzan or a Lucci here, I can't hit it with my I actually can't hit it with my Gadatsu. That's unfortunate, but I still have a target in Hina, and I'm also not really worried about Hina at the same time, right? It's because I have other plays. I can actually just double Carmel out here to get some cards on the board and draw some cards, cycle through some stuff, play out Ashura. There's a lot of options here. Okay, so Kuzan comes down here. I'm like, oh, okay, had a feeling he'd play something like that. Looks like he paid 1 for something. I missed it. He did not swing with leader. He doesn't want to give me any cards from hand. He doesn't want to help me out in any ways, potentially get triggers. It's actually a pretty smart play to not swing an NL early on when you don't have a lot of answers, because what if he hits a Thunderbolt, right? Or what if I hit a Thunderbolt? So there I had a small play mistake where I swung first, and luckily he did counter out of it, or else I couldn't have dealt with the Hina with Gadatsu. That was a small play mistake, but we did have a follow-up afterwards if we needed to. We could have played out the draw cards like we were saying. Okay, swing, 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 super, super aggression. Because none of your cards are safe. One part about getting good at this game is understanding each matchup. None of your cards are safe against Sakazuki. If I was playing against Purple Luffy, there might have been a reason. And they're still not safe, by the way, because they run King, they run Pauly, they have ways. They even have, if it's late enough in the game, they have Kaido. 9-cost Kaido, they can just take out any of your board. Okay, so my cards aren't safe. Yeah, he's going to, watch, he's going to Great Eruption, and he's going to be able to do all kinds of stuff here. Swing 5 at him, -4 to my Gadatsu. I'm like, I'm going to save it at least because I already know he's going to get rid of my... I know my Holy and my Gadatsu are dead. So I'm going to do what I can to save my Ohm to keep some kind of board state. So let's see what happens. He's probably just going to get rid of it, though, through... okay, he couldn't Hound Blaze there because he only had my Ohm down to 3. So I was able to save Ohm. Got to play out Shura here. We're going to grab a 200 million volts Amaru, and we're going to just... We got to go pretty aggressive here. Again, because we're kind of on a clock. You have to remember that. We're sort of on a clock. So I'm like, okay, let's go 5 with Shura. And when I say let's go 5, we're talking let's go 5 at face. Because Kuzan is a threat, but at the same time... How do I say this? If I attack everything into Kuzan and it survives... then I'm in a lot of trouble. Whereas he might get greedy and draw life cards if I hit him with life. But then I'm like, all right, well, then let me go... Since he countered out of that one, I'll go 7 into Kuzan because it'll get at least 2 cards out of hand. I don't know. It might have been fine to just go at life and try to see how greedy he's going to be. Okay, so he KOs that. Yeah, I'm not going to defend that. It's just the 2 searchers into each other. And he has 9 Dawn. He has 9 Dawn to play with here. It's not looking good, right? Well, remember... While I don't have a good board state currently, and I'm going to try to protect this Ohm to the best of my ability. But even though I don't have a good board state here, I do have 4 life cards. And you know how NL is. It's really like 5 life cards. Because you get the 1 extra one when you go down to 0. All right, so let's see what he does here. He's, like I said, he still has 9 Dawn to play with. I've countered out of all of his 5k attacks here. And he is just really thinking at this point. I'm about to fast forward it, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, I had to move this just to make sure it was still playing. Okay, he just Hound Blaze, swing 8. It's like, okay, that was fine. I got a lot of reactions out of him there. He only has 4 cards left in hand. And again, guys, I only have 2 cards left, right? But I have a win condition in 200 million Voltamaru. That's number 1, right? I have a win condition in 200 million Voltamaru. And, oh, there's a 5-cost blocker, unfortunately, though. And I have 4 life cards. So let's see what happens here. I get a Caramel, so that's an easy. Draw that. Get to a Holy. We'll take it every single time, right? I even debated, like, man, what if I don't know. Before I drew the I was debating playing out my 5-cost just to have a body on the board, even though you could probably easily remove it. So I'm going 9k at life. I'm like, you're going to block this, buddy, or you're going down to 1 life. Takes it, and let's see what happens. So he has to have the removal for all of my characters, right? Like, he has to remove every single one of my characters on the board this turn. I get a beige, but I'm like, I'm not using that beige. I'm not using my beige because I need to draw cards. There you go. Rip a Thunderbolt, and that's game. Right? The game's over now. The game's over. Unless he has another Sabo, this game is over. And again, I preserved my life early. He didn't attack much early, so it is what it is. This is funny too. Caramel, the trigger can KO a 2 or less and play the card, but you don't get to draw the card if it's on your opponent's turn. He gets out Lucha here, pops 2 of my characters, which is a good play, but it's too little too late, right? Because your 5-cost character's out of the way, and I have 200 million Voltamaru, the only way I can lose this game now is if I make a mistake. Or if he had like lots of blockers, that could have potentially got him out of it. But then I would have just spread my damage. And, okay, I rip a Thunderbolt off the top too, so even if he had 2 blockers, it just doesn't matter. Coming in for 16k here. Good game. He got up to 12. GG. That was a good game. Okay, so that's it for the NL and the Katakuri games. This was with the slightly better NL list, like I said. But these next 2 lists that we're going to look at are Black Yellow Linlin. Okay, so for all my Black Yellow Linlin fans out there, we got budget Black Yellow Linlin taking on Whitebeard. Now, if I remember correctly, this Whitebeard player was hyper aggressive. So I'm like, yep, hey, we'll take that every single time, right? We will take the hyper aggression. Okay, so looking back, I probably should have 2k countered out of that early, but I only had 1 2k counter. I'm like, I better save this. And okay, swing for 5 with Izo, sure. Here's one of these, right? Here's a quick little 1k. Oh, let me make sure the 2x speed. Sorry, guys, or else this video will run on forever. Okay, 5 into Izo. You're out of here, bud. Drop down a 4-cost 6k. That's actually a very, very good card into Whitebeard because it matches him. Busts out a what's his name here? A Zoro. And I'm like, goodness gracious, here we go. And he's just, I think I took the hit from the new gate and got a 2k counter from it. Swing 5 into Zoro. Let's see if he saves it. So right now I'm trying to eat cards from his hand because he's going to lose a life every turn. That's my logic. I only want to take 1 life per turn. Just 1. Only 1 life per turn. And then I'll eat up whatever I can on the board until he's down to, like, very low life. Okay, he didn't even go for my... That was the greediest thing he did. I get not going 6 into 6 with your new gate there, but why would you not go... I'm not going to pause it, but I would have played out Ace first, -3 to my what's his name? Opera. Swung 6 into Opera, because I would have let that go. 3k into 6k into 3k, I'm not saving that. Then you could do 7 at face, and I can't block it as easily. But that's just me. He probably thought he was just going to run me over. And that's a reasonable thing to think against Black Yellow Linlin. But it's like, hey, bro, I'm coming in for 6 now, and now 8. And now I'm going to drop another 4-cost 6k. You have 1 life left. Let's see what you do. I'm like, okay, I'll take a 7k. Okay, and then he drops down 10 Beard. He's totally tapped out. So, guys, understand what that means. If he is totally tapped out, that means he cannot... Hang on one second. Swing 8 at life. Trash a card to gain a life. 8 more at life. I'm like, you know what? I'm calling your bluff here. Watch this, guys. We'll go 8 at life, and then we will 200 million volts of Maru plus 1, and we'll go 10 at your life. 10 into 8. Good game. And again, look what he had in hand. He had 2 guard points and a radical beam. 2 guard points and a radical beam. And 3 rush Luvies. I'm dead next turn, pretty much, right, if he untaps. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We're all in here. GG, no re. Good stuff. Good old Whitebeard. All right, next game here. This is versus Red Purple Kid. And then we got one more game after this, guys. Let me put it up to 2x speed. Okay, here we go. Red Purple Kid. This is interesting. Not really a matchup I'm familiar with, to be honest. I don't see many Red Purple Kids out there these days. But it looks pretty aggressive. Plays out this 2-cost card, swings 5. I'll counter out early. When I saw him going this aggressive, I said, okay, I think I'm going to counter out early. I think he forgot to pass turn. There we go. It's our turn. 5 at life. Okay, he takes it. Eustace Kid, the leader here, the red purple leader, he wants to go down to, I think it's 3 life, and then he goes up to 5k when attacking, because otherwise he is a 5 life, 4,000 power leader when attacking. Oh man, hard punish there. I get a Thunderbolt off the top to KO the card he played. Always swing first, guys. Please always swing first with your characters, and then your leader, and then play out your cards for the turn. Sequencing is everything. 5k into a 3k, 6k going into the leader here, and I'm just dropping a 6 cost 8k. Good luck, right? 6 cost 8k. I know he can't jet pistol it. What does he have in purple that could deal with this? Maybe like a round table and something else. Okay, he plays out this Kamazo guy. Dawn -1 to KO. I think it's a 5 or less. Yeah, 5 or less. That's on KO though. On KO, Dawn -1, KO a 5 or less. Okay, so he swings it. I think I took it. I'm sorry, guys, I wasn't paying attention. Swing 5 at life. Swing 7 at life. Now you're going to get 9 at life, and I'm going to drop another big body. Look, he's like, oh, crap. You know, it's like all of a sudden he realized, like, okay, this guy's swinging pretty hard here. He might have miscountered there, but swing 9, he's not getting out of that one, and I'm dropping another 6 cost 8k. And that's the beauty of these vanilla cards, guys. They're extremely cost efficient. You know, normally you'd get like a 4 cost 5k, right? Or like a 5 cost 6k. Well, think about this. This is a 4 cost 6k and a 6 cost 8k. And I've got Garp in hand too. I've got a 5 cost 7k in hand if I need it. I've got a Truno Bastardo in hand. This guy's up against the ropes, right? Just like bottom line, this guy's up against the ropes. Plays out heat, very nice. Swing, Dawn -1, turns your heat on to where he's going to be harder to KO if I had any kind of KO by power effects. But I don't. Now it's just like, okay, you have 4 cards in hand, 2 Dawn active. I was debating going for game here. But then it's like, actually, I think I'll just gain a life and try to KO your guy here. Okay, let me see how I do this. I'm trying to count out which card I need to trash. It was dangerous to trash a blocker there, I will say that. But I have another blocker if I need it in Bartolomeo. And I'd rather, you know, just keep the pressure on. Okay, swing 9 at life. Seems good, right? Attach 1 Dawn, swing 9 at life. Okay, he does get out of it with a 1k and a 4k event. Truno Bastardo, his heat off the board. I have 2 life left. I'm not at risk of losing this game under any circumstance. I've got 4k encounters. I've actually got 6k encounters if you count the 2 1ks. And no matter what blocker he drops next turn, unless it's a 5 cost, it doesn't matter. The game's over because I have a 200 million volts of Maru. Well, unless I stay at 2 life, right? Because you have to be at 1 life or less in order to activate your 200 million volts of Maru. And guys, again, you have to remember, this is not me playing a deck with Borsalinos in it, with all the best cards. These are nothing but vanillas. And this list in particular was $20. Remember, this is like a list that's just under $20. 2k at my 8k. He swings 9k into my 8. I'm 2k counting out of that every time. Okay, I'm like, swing 9. I'm not even at 200 million volts of Maru him. It's just, well, I can't. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, I can't because I have 2 life. But he's not getting out of this, right? There's no way out. Now I'm swinging 11 at life. Yeah, he just quits. Good game. Okay, and now for the last one, we got one more game, guys. And this one is against Yamato. So again, this is just the middle of the day, you know, OP TCG sim. You're going to get random matches, you know, and it's just the sim in general. You're going to get random matches, period. But we got Yamato here. My hand is not exactly good, by the way. My hand is not exactly great. But let's see what happens. no play on turn 1 always feels bad, especially when you're going second, but it is what it is. Ever since I realized you can adjust the cards at the bottom, you see me moving the cards around at the bottom. Okay, so I got a Thunderbolt there, but I was like, do I really Thunderbolt a pudding? And my answer was no. Like, he didn't use it to attack that last turn. I'm just not even gonna worry about it till later. So swing 5, I think he took it. Play out Kumadori, 4 cost 6K. Kumadori is just a CP9 version of Opera. It's just a 4 cost 6K vanilla with a 1K counter. Okay, he swings for 6 here after playing a Sanji blocker. 2K counter out, we'll take it, and my turn. So now we are at 6. So in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm either going to swing 5, 7, or 6 and 6 here. I think either one's fine. There's some argument to go 6 and 6 here, so that way you get out as many 2K counters out of their hand as possible if they're willing to do that. And he gets into a Sanji trigger, seems good. But okay, I'll swing 7 at life now and then play out one of my Garps. I was also tempted to play Truno Bastardo here. Okay. Another option I was actually going through my head was like, okay, with 6 Dawn, I could have Thunderbolted one of the guys and Truno Bastardo to take out the other one of the Sanjis. It's an option. It's an option. But okay, he's going to swing for 6. I'm like, goodness gracious. Okay, I see your strategy. You're going to swing 6 this entire game and sit behind a wall of blockers and like vanillas. Kind of what I'm doing, right? And it's like, okay, we got to meet fire with fire here. That 5 cost 7K is the only threat that I see because he's not swinging with his blockers. And looking back, I think he should have probably swung with his blockers. But at the same time, it makes sense that he didn't because I was just going to eat those up and gain life. So it kind of depends. So right there, guys, I swung for 5 at a 6K leader. Feels bad. I wasn't paying attention that Yamato was already down to 6 life. Already down to 2 life. Yamato's effect is attach 1 Dawn. If you have 2 or less life, your leader has plus 1,000 power on your opponent's turn as well. Okay, so he counters out of that. Because I've got a 6 cost 7 or 6K 7K swinging every turn. I'm like, okay, that Yamato, the 5 cost 7K, that has to go. That's got to go. I'm like, oh man, what I should have done looking back was I should have KO'd it with a Thunderbolt, then gained a life, trashing another Thunderbolt, and gone from there. But you live and you learn. That's a nuance of playing One Piece. There are different lines of play you can do. Many, many different lines. I didn't see how many cards were in my trash. So, okay, I go ahead and play out a blocker here and my 5 cost 7K. He's at 2 health. My opponent's at 2 life, so he cannot activate a 200 million volts Amaru unless he somehow loses a life through an effect, which he might run Thunderbolt. I don't know. Okay, so attach 1. Okay, now he's starting to swing with his pudding. I'm like, okay, either my opponent is getting impatient, or they're running out of ways to win this game. Swing 6, I'll 2K out of that. Swing 7, I'm going to have to either block or take it. Okay, so I block, and I'm trying to bait him into attacking with his Sanjis. He doesn't go for the bait. So in my hand, I'm thinking, okay, I can actually just remove his entire board if I wanted to, and just go everything at face. That's an option, right? Because I can literally pop 1 with Thunderbolt. So here we go. This is what I should have done last turn, by the way. I go ahead and KO that with Thunderbolt. Now I can gain a life with my effect, right? Now I can gain a life with my leader effect and swing 7 by trashing one of these other Thunderbolts. Okay, I'm just counting out, making sure I have enough Dawn. And I actually messed up there. I shouldn't have attached the extra one because then I could have True Node to follow this up. But okay, trash Thunderbolt, swing 8 at life. I definitely should have only swung 7 at life, by the way, because then I'd have 4 Dawn active, so I could True Node one of his Sanjis. Okay, not a big deal though. Now we're just gonna keep beating away. We're gonna smash, smash, smash here. Swing 6 into 6. That's a fine. That's a fine trade. Didn't cost me anything, but it cost him a card to get out of it, or it would have cost him a character or a life. Swing 7 into 6. Now I'm starting to see like, okay, another 2K counter. Okay, he's got to be running low on these 2K counters. Swing 8. This is an easy block with this. I would have, personally, I would have blocked that with, I think the character's name is Domino, the 2-cost 2K blocker there. But this is the most trouble I'm in. Okay, what is that card? Okay, up to one of your leader or characters with Wano country type gains plus 3,000. So he gave his leader plus 3k with that effect. So it's kind of like a miniature 200 million volts Amaru, but like a really bad version of it. I would have just run 200 million volts Amaru there, personally. Okay, so swing 5 at life. I'm like, okay, I can counter out of this one, so I'm going to, because I have no other counter power in hand. This guy doesn't know it, but he has lethal on board against me. Now I did just get a 2k counter. He doesn't know my hand. How could he know? So he's just playing defensively, but hey, that's part of the game. And now he's in trouble, right, guys? I mean, like look at my hand. I'm like, okay, you have 4 Dawn active, you have 1 life and 3 blockers. I'm gaining a life this turn if I need to, and you're going to lose your entire board because there's no way you're going to block out of all these. So 6k into a 6k, because remember, Yamato does go up to 6 when she has 2 or less life cards. He counters out with a Sanji. Okay, well, then let's just go 8k. I'm trying to do very limited investment here, just 1 Dawn at a time, as opposed to like 4 Dawn for my leader effect right away. So here we go again, 8k. Hikaku Sovereignties, very nice, has 2 Dawn active. I'm like, okay, I actually need to be very careful here. So I'm like, okay, let's gain a life. Swing 7. Trash out the pair of Sparrow, because I don't need that anymore. So I go up to 2 life here. He loses a blocker. I'm like, okay, perfect. Now you lose your other blocker, and the game's over. At that point right there, I finally was able to feel out where he was. That's not going to do. 5 cost 7k. Sorry, bud. That's just not going to do it for you. So he's going to swing 6 at life. I can actually just counter out of this, but I think I take it. Yeah, and I get a Thunderbolt. Oh, man. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But, a yellow player can't complain about yellow triggers, right? I don't know. But that's another reason, guys. Always attack first before playing your characters in case you get hit with something like that. Now I can just literally just auto attack him right across the board. Okay, swing 8. And that should be, Hikaku Sovereignty, excuse me. There's just no way for him to survive. Very nice. Okay. So there you go, guys. Just wanted to show what you can do with a budget deck. And especially with the list I showed earlier, the 2 lists that were the Katakuri and the NL list, I could run that list through Black Yellow Lin and have basically the same effect with the ability to just gain life every single turn, making Lin a pretty good budget leader, to be completely honest. Excuse me. Excuse me. But anyway, that's about it, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Any suggestions? This was a fun video to make. I'll probably try and make a few more of like each different color, or at least because like I said before, I like to do these with the end game in mind, with like the top tier leaders in mind. So I'll probably try to make one on like purple Luffy next or something like that. Try to make it as budget as we can. All right, guys, that's about it. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.